X-Men is actually really underrated. Not the movie, but the series. See, nowadays there's basically three ways of going about making superhero movies. There's the high risk, high reward origin story, which is Iron Man 1. There's the dark, realistic horror story with a moral at the end, The Dark Knight. Or there's the light-hearted comedy made for friends and family of all ages, which is The Avengers. And usually most modern superhero movies or just comic book adaptations are combinations of at least two of the three, because it's pretty clear what audiences will go to the theaters for, that you can basically guarantee. But way back when, people weren't so sure. Everyone was still trying to figure things out, how to actually make money in the space. Like, for example, the original Captain America movies, or Blade, or Daredevil, or Elektra, or The Punisher, or Ghost Rider, or Howard the Duck. And that's just like one fifth of the weird ones. Very few people back then would actually try to make a superhero movie by treating it like a real, legit movie that just so happened to have superheroes. With something like Captain America, it really makes a lot more sense if you read the comics, or at least if you are aware that it's based off comics. So that way you can go in with that knowledge. But X-Men, if you go into a theater without even knowing what Marvel is or what comics are, you completely unaware of the existence of the word comic, you could still be shown this movie and be like, yeah, that was a pretty damn good work of cinema. The thing that X-Men has above all these other cinematic universes is it's cool. And I'm not saying all these other cinematic universes are not cool, but I am saying that actually, never mind. They're not cool. The movie starts off with the iconic scene. I don't care how many times they show it, it's cool every single time. I don't like how they try to offer some explanation on why mutations are happening. First of all, the level of hoops you need to jump through to make this realistic is just not feasible. So don't bother. Don't spend so much time trying to explain it. Because then people start having questions like, why now? Why? Has this mutation spike ever happened in the past? Why the hell does stress have anything to do with it? I'm pretty sure humans trying to survive bear attacks with stone tools were a bit more stressed than high schoolers in America. If the mutations are random, then doesn't that mean, like, just by pure chance that like 99% of all the mutants should have cancer? How the hell does a mutation let someone create refrigerants that break the laws of thermodynamics? How the hell does a mutation make someone able to control at will magnetic fields? Does that mean that they themselves are also ferromagnetic? How the hell would they turn that off? If someone has the mutation to shoot fire from their hands, don't they also need the mutation to withstand fire themselves? What are the odds that they get both? Or that porcupine dude with all the spikes? Where do they go when he retracts them? And what are at the ends of them? Are they spike follicles? It's clearly not in the dermis. It's much, much lower than that. Are the spikes on every tissue throughout all the surfaces in his body? Because then the moment he releases his spikes, it would like pierce his heart and stuff like that. And how the hell can a mutation ever possibly let you control the weather? But that's the thing. It's a superhero movie. It's not supposed to be realistic. You don't have to make it. So don't try to. You don't need to show all these scientists talking about the causes of these mutations. I really don't care. You're going to ruin my immersion in the movie even more by doing this. And I get that this is supposed to be like realistic because it's like a allegory for like Jewish people or slaves or whatever, whatever next group that considers themselves so oppressed but has enough money to basically pay these companies like, hey, make an allegory for our group, and have parallels between that way they can just line it up for those sponsorship opportunities under the table. But honestly, I wouldn't really focus too hard on like the whole oh, we're so oppressed side of things. Like, it's not so clear and cut and dry and so simple the way they make it out to be. Like, oh, these are the good guys, these are the bad guys. And you know what? The mutants probably should be wearing a badge saying they're mutants. Like, it's not the same thing as Jewish people or whatever. It's very different. It's literally different genetically. Like, they make a point of telling you that it's genetic. It's like trying to live with lions, but the lions look like humans. It's literally an important distinction to make, and it should be made. It's not the same thing, as something as arbitrary as like skin color. And the question sort of started to spiral out of control. Like, wait a second, we're all mutants. Like, all of us. Actually, every organism that you can see with your eyes are all mutants. Watching this as an adult, the dynamic between Professor X and Magneto is one of the best things this series has to offer, and potentially the best thing the series has to offer if they really leaned into it. It's the ultimate driving factor in all the major plots aside from Wolverine. And that's the thing, it's like each mutant has their own sort of like vibe, if you want to call it that, right? That's why the Wolverine movies are so distinct from even all of the superhero movies, and they can really stand on their own. I think if they did it right, most of the X-Men cast could have their own movies. Like Mystique should definitely have a movie. That would be awesome. Also, a major pet peeve of mine is in movies when they show people getting injections, like shots or needles or whatever it is. I don't care about anything else. You can like cut someone's head off or whatever, but I'm like deathly afraid of, and it's really only just pointy things held by people wearing gloves and masks. In any other situation, I'm fine. But like, don't show me that, dude. Like a movie can literally be perfect, and if they show someone getting a shot, I'm gonna take off points. I know I'm saying all negatives, and I'm gonna keep going. The political aspect to these movies is always really weak. But to be fair, the political aspects of political movies is usually also really weak too. Regardless, if you're gonna go with the whole like allegorical thing, like oh segregation and separate but equal, that sort of thing, then you gotta be smart about it. Because you toe a very thin line where hero and villain could flip flop from scene to scene. And maybe that's what you're going for. You want it to be a complex movie about like, hey, it's not so cut and dry. But then don't like act like it is. But yeah, I've said a lot of like things that are bad about it, but it's still good. Like it's a good movie. You know a movie's good when people enjoy it in the theater because of things that it does, and then people look at those same things 15 years later and they go, yeah, it's cliche. It's only cliche because some people have used it since then, and that's proof that it's a good movie. The movie isn't great. um I think it has a lot of potential. Like the teen drama side of stuff for the movie's pretty bad, and I feel like it has a lot more potential than even the political stuff. Actually, no, I know it does. Everyone knows it does. But yeah, it's a good movie. There were some cool scenes, like a Wolverine at the bar. Actually, man, Wolverine is really just he's the one that makes these movies. It just goes to show like all you really need is good character development. Like give each of these characters just a solid character arc, and boom, you have a movie 10 times better than all the new MCU movies. Storm has no character development. Cyclops has no character development. He's a cuck in the beginning and he's a cuck in the end. Sabretooth has no character development. Rogue has anti-character development. She goes from being somewhat stupid to really stupid. And still the movie is actually, pretty decent because of like the Wolverine, Professor X, and Magneto. And that's the thing. I'm not a harsh critic. It really doesn't take a lot for these movies to be good and for them to be enjoyable for me. But imagine if they did do a lot. Like, holy shit, dude, the potential is crazy. 4 out of 10.
It's Filthy Frank, motherfucker. It's Filthy Frank, bitch. Let's get some pussy tonight.
Among us.